After a long time, it's going to be exciting times for Indian aviation. Two players, and I can't call both of them new players, but two players are going to hit the skies very soon. One is the Rakesh Jhunjhunwala backed Akasa Air, which got its airline code recently, and of course Jet Airways, whose revival and second coming has been anticipated and awaited for a while. But the fact of the matter is that these two newbies are going to be entering the Indian aviation space at a time when it's tough going, not just for other well-entrenched domestic players, but across the world as well. The cost of ATF has been soaring consistently and shows no signs of abating or any relief over there. Pandemic fears may have eased off, but the fears of a recession in some parts of the world, growing inflation in India, could dampen demand. So what is the outlook looking like for the two new players? To speak on this, I'm joined today by Mark D. Martin, founder and CEO of Martin Consulting, Ajay Attorney, founder of livefromalounge.com, and Dheeraj Mathur, aviation expert. Welcome to all of you, and thank you so much for speaking with us today on the show. Now, the question is, how do you navigate the market right now as a new player where you have a well-entrenched leader in Indigo? You have an Air India sort of trying to make a comeback under a new management, and they're figuring out what their new version will look like. And then many others who are just dealing with the current pressures of the aviation industry. So, Mark Martin, what would your strategy be as an Akasa or as a Jet? Should Jet try and revive its earlier brand positioning as a premium product, or should it go low cost? Akasa has already said it's going to go the low cost way. So, will this be a competition now just purely on prices?
Tamanna, thanks for having me. I don't want to be the party pooper here, but let me make it very clear, at least where we are in terms of the overall situation vis-a-vis Jet Airways and Akasa. Now, Jet starts with a lot of uncertainty, starts with a tremendous amount of headwind. Let's not forget we are dealing with a Indigo, which is the largest fleet with the largest network. We're followed by a private Air India. It's not a government Air India. And we have an Air India with the Vistara, and then you got the Go Airs and the Fringe. So the restart of Jet, I mean, I know it's nostalgic and everyone is excited about it, but it gets into severe, aggressive skies, severe headwinds, because also, let's be very clear, the COC, the company, the committee of creditors, which is Yes Bank, PNB, and SBI, I mean, they're very clear. The assets of Jet Airways have to be sold. They need to recover their money from it as per NCLT. So nothing is going to change from that. So it's good to see them come back, but they're going to have to beat a lot of odds to get back in the sky, deal with competition, win back the market, because you can't really buy back passengers and win back customers just by silly hand gestures. You're going to have to really get down and sell tickets. On Akasa, I think Akasa is we know very little of Akasa. I think once we gain more insights into the product, once they launch and their working models and revenue models, we probably know precisely what part or how aggressive of the market or which segment they want to really target or get into. I mean, from where we know is the 737 MAX is still not a stable aircraft. It's still reporting a lot of glitches and issues and emergency landings over in Europe. And, not long ago, about 45 days ago, SpiceJet reported an emergency landing as well. So a lot of uncertainty. But on the flip side, I'd probably say there is a aggressive pent-up demand for air travel. There is an aggressive need for air travel now because you've locked up and caged up people at home for the last 3 years. That resurgent market is going to really kickstart and boost everything for airlines and hotels and everybody around. We're also going to see a very interesting upward curve pushing the envelope for international travel. Destinations like Kuala Lumpur, Singapore, Bangkok, Phuket, all, wherever that Indians traveled in Asia is going to come up and take up focus. Akasa doesn't start as an international airline. They start as a domestic airline. They still need to slug it out for 3 to 5 years to prove and win their international license.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting start. it's good to see two more players. Well, one more player come in because Jet, left and regained is regaining back its position. Eventually, in all of this, the winner is going to be the customer, the traveler, and I don't think we're going to see a sudden diametric shift of air travel going to rail because let's be honest, eventually it's the traveler who has to pay for
Yeah.
that extra delta
No,
price
which
on
is
the
which
fuel
is
hike.
which is why I talked about the economic situation right now and whether that's most conducive. But we don't know how long this war between Ukraine and Russia will last or supply chain constraints will last. Meanwhile, life does go on. Now, Dheeraj Mathur said, "Party to abhi shuru hui hai." So,
So I think
so
people
the YOLO
will agree
effect
to pay more.
or the FOMO effect will help with travel as well. Mark, your views on that?
Well, Tamanna, post-COVID, we've seen insane, crazy new trends. I mean, we've seen the rise of business jets take over when commercial airlines didn't fly. I mean, we've heard about stories of families chartering a whole Airbus A320 and flying over to Jabalpur and Gwalior. So, when the chips are down, the Indian consumer will pay. But when the earnings are depressed, when inflation hits you, you are going to be cost conscious. But the what we're dealing with is also a sort of a push to the wall situation. You've locked up people for 2 years, and they're going to want to bring back normalcy in their lives, whether it's take the family out for dinner or fly over to Goa or take a holiday. If that costs you 5,000 extra per seat per head, you pay for it. If the hotel is 25% more expensive, you're going to put that money because you've been looking at that opportunity. I think the point I'm trying to say here is that the trend line post COVID with not just our markets, but global markets is something that we've also seen very similar post Asian economic crisis, 98, 99, 2000. I think we've seen a very similar resurgence in pent up economic demand. And that is going to happen now. As regards to Vistara and Jet Airways, I'd probably say of the two, Jet Airways is a bit more poised because there is a tremendous amount of nostalgia for the brand. There's consumer recall. There will be a natural tilt, for somebody who's flown Jet Airways before, he's going to want to fly Jet Airways again. But coming on to Akasa, I'm not too sure. I mean, I'm sure they're going to be a great product, and they got so many guys there in management who want to drive the organization, and everybody wants to take it forward in all directions. But the real issue here is that it's a big uncertain question mark of what is Akasa going to be. 737 Max still not stable. Issues with brand. What is the product offering going to be? And let's be honest. I know Ajay mentioned something very interesting, but I'm going to mention about Vistara, but I'll talk about AirAsia. When AirAsia started, I mean, it was everyone from SpiceJet to Indigo to Go Air dropped their fares by 40% and wanted to wipe AirAsia off the market. And it has been tough for AirAsia. So we are going to see aggressive, we are going to see the competition attack with the vengeance because post-COVID, now the market's up for grabs. Now airlines need to win the consumer to themselves and lock him in for good.
Yeah.
And there's going to
We've
be
been
a
talking.
tremendous amount of competition here. It's interesting now.
Yeah.
So I think wait and watch for the next 3 months.
No, definitely an exciting space right now for Indian aviation, but we've been focusing on Jet and Akasa. The fact is that there is a lot going on in the aviation sector. Indigo will be getting a new bus. Air India still has to come into its own under new management. One more aspect we should talk about in this show, because we focused on it a lot from the customer passenger point of view. What about path to profitability? Can anyone hope for that, especially the two new players? Yes, Mark wants to take that.
Tamanna, I'm going to take that. So the dollar's up. That means all your spares are going to be more expensive.
Yes.
The cost of freight is up by 25%. The cost of oil is up. The government still hasn't come to a holistic ratification policy on taxes, on VAT, inclusion into GST. India produces quite a lot of jet fuel, and we export it and we import it back because that's our whole policy of foreign exchange earnings. But the bottom line is we're now getting in a scenario where where there will be, there's going to be another pandemic wave. There is going to be things are going to get worse with, Russia, Ukraine. They haven't really come to peace yet. It is going to have a tremendous impact on war risk insurance. Flying to Europe is going to be much more expensive. Now we're constantly pushing the consumer in the corner and asking him to pay for it eventually. Airlines are not going to take on that loss on their heads because the last 3 years, with aircraft being parked and grounded all over most parts of the world, India, wherever they've been parking airplanes, that has accumulated a tremendous amount of financial whammy. Now, they can amortize that for the next 5 years, but starting now, is when it's hardcore pasa vasool. They need to make their money. They need to focus on earnings. They need to fill up seats. And that filling up seats, is going to get the competition very aggressive.
Yes.
There are going to be a couple of bloodied noses here and there. There are going to be winners. There are going to be losers. There are going to be the guys who throw in the white flag. Okay, throw in the towel.
Let's see how this fight progresses. It's going to be interesting.
I want to
very quickly, Ajay. I have to wrap and I'm out of time, but very
Yes.
quickly.
Just want to add to what Martin said. I think I know about the bloody noses that he's talking about. Look, in the profitability perspective, don't expect the new players to be profitable immediately. Obviously, they have a lot of sunk cost, and give them 2-3 years before they come back. Remember, Indigo already eked out a profit last quarter, and though we are still to see the full year numbers, I think if you have to give anyone the benefit of doubt that they might be profitable, that would be Indigo in the current
we will have to end this now, and we'll have to come back, reconvene, and see who really made it out of this exciting airfare war, perhaps, which is to come. But for today, thank you so much to all of you for joining us on the show.
Thanks for having me, Tamanna. Thank you.
Thanks.